Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Congressional Republicans are now advancing the largest cuts to Medicare and Medicaid in U.S. history, and at least a few of the GOP lawmakers are getting shredded and shamed to their face.
Congresswoman, I was wondering if you would just talk to us on your way over to the conference meeting?
No.
That is Republican Congresswoman Mariannette Miller-Meeks of Iowa.
Last time you spoke with us, you lied to our face and said that you weren't going to vote for Medicaid cuts. But then you've actually voted for the largest cuts to Medicaid in the history of the country. Do you have any comment on that? Do you have any comment on the 4 hospitals in your district that are going to close because of your vote? Representative Miller-Meeks, I'm wondering if you have any comment on the health care that 67,000 people in your district are going to lose? Does it concern you that you only won by 800 votes?
The Republican Congresswoman never responded. The health care cuts are contained in the GOP's sprawling tax and spending bill, or what Donald Trump calls one big beautiful bill. Some of the measures are so controversial that the House GOP Rules Committee convened at 1 in the morning in the dead of night to move the bill forward.
If this was big and beautiful, they'd be doing it in the middle of the day so everyone would know it. This is big and ugly. It's going to hurt people. It's going to take health care away from almost 14 million people.
In fact, just before the hearing, the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, came back with its projections for the bill, and the news was stunning.
The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the official authority on these figures, has now confirmed this bill, in addition to Medicaid cuts, in addition to Obamacare cuts, includes $500 billion worth of cuts to Medicare. That is now in this bill as well.
The details were laid out in this Washington Post story headline, "Trump and GOP's tax bill would force cuts to Medicare," CBO says. Quote, "President Donald Trump and congressional Republicans' mammoth tax and immigration bill would add so much to the national debt that it could force nearly $500 billion in cuts to Medicare beginning in 2026, Congress's nonpartisan bookkeeper reported late Tuesday. Trump and the GOP's budget reconciliation package, officially titled the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, would add $2.3 trillion to the deficit over 10 years, the Congressional Budget Office projected, forcing budget officials to mandate across-the-board spending cuts over that window that would hit the federal health insurance program for seniors and people with disabilities. The total Medicare cuts, according to CBO, would be $490 billion over 10 years.
Most of the suffering because of this bill will happen to the bottom 10%. And guess who will get the gains from this bill? The top 10%. And then they want to talk about being fiscally responsible. They say it's going to add $3.3 trillion to the debt. So they don't care about the debt. They only care about enriching their billionaire donors and these mega corporations and not fighting for the people.
Republicans have long wanted to privatize the public health insurance system and safety nets, including Medicare and Medicaid. But when you inject a for-profit model into healthcare, hospitals that are not profitable go away. As the Rolling Stone headline says, Republican Medicaid cuts could force many hospitals to close their doors. The bill that is going through the House will still need to be approved, of course, by the U.S. Senate, and changes may be necessary to have a chance at passage. A few Senate Republicans have joined Democrats in expressing alarm at the Medicare and Medicaid cuts, but now those concerns are going to collide with the spinning of President Trump. Instead of acknowledging the reality from the Congressional Budget Office, Donald Trump insists his big, beautiful bill will only strengthen Medicare and Medicaid.
Here's what I want on Medicaid. We're not touching anything. All I want is one thing. 3 words. We don't want any waste, fraud, or abuse. Very simple. Waste, fraud, abuse. Other than that, we're leaving it. Medicare, we're leaving it. All we're after, and this is for the good of it, is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. That's all we're doing. We're not touching it.
And this is from the president who said he would end the Russia-Ukraine war on day one, bring down prices and inflation on day one, and quickly usher in a new era of unprecedented American prosperity. Instead, we see the opposite. And the opposite of what Trump insists on Medicare and Medicaid is that tens of millions of Americans are going to suffer. Polls show that most Americans no longer believe or trust Donald Trump on anything, and even congressional Republicans now acknowledge that the draconian cuts in the spending bill could cost the GOP the House and the Senate in 2026. In the meantime, many Republican lawmakers keep trying to hide and avoid answering questions. Thankfully, there are still some people with microphones and cameras in the halls of Congress who are at least trying to hold the Republicans accountable.
You've actually voted for the largest cuts to Medicaid in the history of the country. Do you have any comment on that? Do you have any comment on the 4 hospitals in your district that are going to close because of your vote? Representative Miller-Meeks, I'm wondering if you have any comment on the health care that 67,000 people in your district are going to lose?
By the way, U.S. markets are not reacting very well to the Trump-related downgrade of the U.S. credit rating. When the opening bell rang Monday at the New York Stock Exchange and Nasdaq, most stocks began in the red with trading losses. CNBC stocks retreat to start week as yields spike on U.S. debt downgrade. New York Times markets rattled on concerns about U.S. debt. Stocks fell, the dollar slipped, and bond yields jumped after a rating downgrade highlighted worries about the cost of President Trump's policies and the health of the economy.
He has all of these big headlines, right? We're getting all of this investment, like the $8.5 billion out of Qatar for Texas energy company McDermott. That was already announced in 2023 and 2024. Abu Dhabi, he says, a new $200 billion. That's a cloud computing deal with Amazon, also announced during the Biden administration. Saudis allegedly giving us $600 million. We haven't billion. I'm sorry. Haven't documented all of it, but we do know that the airport project was announced last August. So the Washington Post has documented all of this, that at least a half a dozen of the contracts that he's talking about happened under the Biden administration.
This one big, beautiful bill is going to add $3.3 trillion to the deficit if everything is temporary, is kept temporary. And if they extend things permanently, it's going to add $5.2 trillion to the deficit.
But it's worse.
Right.
Because just imagine, these projections are all made on a 10-year basis.
Yeah.
And they assume, consistent economic growth. So just imagine the Trump tariffs because of the uncertainty and the variability, and is it 145% yesterday or 40% today on China? Imagine we have a recession. In the last 5 or 6 recessions, the budget deficit actually blows out because tax revenues go down and spending increases, so-called automatic stabilizers. So what today is 6.4% of GDP as a deficit, $2.4 trillion deficit, could easily expand to $4 trillion if we had a recession. So they are risking a fiscal disaster.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Not Again, damn it, who wrote, I never thought I'd have a better credit rating than the United States. I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about GOP lawmakers getting hounded now for their votes cutting Medicaid and Medicare. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.